all for coming. So I see there's a number of you with your cameras off. I wonder if you would be so kind as to turn those on. It will make for a much better experience for you all if you're in a position to do so. Even if your hair's not done and your makeup's not looking great, or you're maybe if you're eating, hold back there, okay? Because you don't want to look like a cow whilst you're meeting different people around the Zoom room here. But thank you all for coming, everybody. My name is Steve Sweeney. I am a specialist referral marketing trainer, and my job is wonderful. It brings me around the world to a variety of different places. And I'm able to, train bunches of people like you guys. I go into organizations around the world, co-working spaces, large companies, small companies, you name it. And they all want me to do pretty much one thing, and that is to teach them the art and science of attracting more referrals. I also host an international radio show on the subject of referrals, and that too is a really fun gig because I get to interview people from all around the world and find out about their referral experiences. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence in who I am and what I can do. But before we get into this, Rod and Jamie have asked me to train you guys here today on some of the basics of attracting referrals. And I thought to myself, you know what, I bet I'm going to be looking at a bunch of people who are able to handle more than the basics. So we're going to go through the basics. We absolutely need to go through the basics so that we can get everybody on the same page. But we're also then I'm going to introduce a few of the more advanced concepts about networking for referrals to you guys, all right? Before we get into all of that, who here is an avid networker? Hands up if you're an avid networker. Luke's a little bit unsure. That's cool. All right. That's absolutely fine. Can I, with the ones of you that had your hands down, can I just test the relationship at the moment and ask you guys why you don't network? Is there a block? Is there a reason?
Certainly mine's, but
you go.
You sure?
You're right. Yes, please.
Mine's, I suppose, been more word of mouth. So I've certainly had a block to business. Not exactly sure why, but I don't know, like years and years ago, it was fine, but over the years, yeah, I don't know. I'm not really quite sure.
Okay,
but I do get quite a bit from word of mouth. But yeah, I haven't been really into like social media and all that. So as things have progressed over the years, I haven't followed through with that. So it's sort of very new to me, I suppose.
That's all right. Well then, Geraint, you are going to learn an awful lot today, and you can make yourself a decision about whether or not it's right for you, because let's call a spade, and I'm sure Rod and Jamie have told you this as well. There are other ways to attract customers other than networking, all right? I am a networking for referral specialist, so I'm going to teach you some of the tricks about that. And if it's not for you, that's absolutely cool. But equally, if you find yourself that this is what you want to do, then that's cool as well.
Fantastic.
No worries. So I'll move it along a little bit now. One of the things that I want to find out now about you guys is if you are an avid networker, so those folks who had their hands up before, how successful are you at attracting referrals from the networking that you're doing? If you guys had to rate yourselves out of 10, where would you put yourselves? Anybody want to volunteer a number? Rod.
I had Rod on mute.
Yeah, 5.
5. Who said that? Sorry, I missed that person.
Rod.
Rod, you said 5. Rod. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to offer a number?
I'd probably put the same, Steve. I think my problem is I fish in the wrong pond.
Okay, we'll absolutely cover that. Dale, I saw your hand go up there.
Yeah, look, I probably, with networking, I'd like to say I was higher than that I was a 7. But, it seems to come natural to me, but that doesn't mean I'm doing it the right way. So, but I seem to often I'm always connecting people, not necessarily with my own business and work, but yeah, it's pretty common to be connecting people for whatever reason.
Okay, it absolutely is. So thank you all for offering some ideas. With that number that you thought of in your head, how would you like to just write it down? All right. I am a X out of 10 at networking. And when I say that, what I am specifically talking about is the return you're getting on your investment. Okay, you're business people. You're not doing this for love. Okay, you're doing this because you want a return on the investment that you're putting in. The investment is time. The investment is money. The investment is wear and tear on your car. The investment sometimes is emotional heartache. Certainly a lot of people that come to me are suffering from emotional heartache. And the reason is they're networking and networking and networking and networking, and they're not getting much of a return. There is a glut right now of people out there in the small business world who are going through this. Hopefully today, as a result of some of the things you guys are going to learn, you cannot be in that dejected category of people who are consistently networking for no return. I really want to help you guys to avoid that, all right? That said, I betcha I'm looking at a screen and some people on here have received a great referral. Hands up if you've received a great referral. Peter, saw your hand first. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, I think probably when I started my business, I had one client who was related to a previous employer, and they referred me to two other people that became that group was my first three clients, and pretty much most of my business, I would say 90% of my business has grown from referrals, and really starts from that first referral that kicked me off.
Excellent. And so those referrals, if I'm following you correctly, they came from clients.
Yeah, the initial one came from a former employer.
Yep.
So yeah, I was looking for a job, and one of my previous bosses referred me to one of their colleagues or friends, and I started working for their business as an employee, but then ultimately transitioned to become working for myself, and they became my first client. So, and then the relationships from there, the first two clients after that also came from referrals. So it was just about leveraging the existing relationships that I had, and yeah, fantastic.
No worries. That is terrific to hear, Peter. And this is another follow-up question, but I won't ask you, Peter. I'll ask somebody else. Guys, how does Peter feel about receiving referrals?
Good.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome.
He feels awesome, doesn't he?
Acknowledged too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you're in a position with your business where you are receiving multiple referrals on a regular basis, those regular referrals are social proof that you're good at what you do. Right? They absolutely are. Social proof is when somebody else thinks you're good at something, but it's one thing to think it. It is totally another thing to act on it. So if you are receiving referrals, then somebody else is actually acting on their thought. A lot of what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is in connection with getting people to act on those thoughts. Okay? It's one thing to think it, but thinking it ain't going to put money in your bank account. Right? And you're a business person. That's what you want. It's okay to want money in your bank account. Money is not a dirty word. All right. A lot of people tiptoe around the subject of money. Oh, I don't want to do things for money. It makes me seem like I'm so mercenary. Get over it. You're business people. Earn some money and put some food on your table. It's a good thing to be able to do. Support your families. What are some of the advantages to you guys, do you think, of receiving referrals other than what I've just said? Anybody have any ideas? Nicole?
I think it's an authentic way of getting feedback from people, and I think when people hear it from somebody else, I think they're more confident that it's not just a pie in the sky made up thing. It's actually true.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nicole. The referrer is risking their reputation by referring somebody to you, right? That means something, because if it all goes horribly wrong, then the person who is the end client is going to come back to the referrer and say, why did you send me that dude? Right? So it really is a good show. It cuts to the quick of small business owners. Small business owners survive on their reputations. You've got a dud reputation. You might want to get yourself a relationship counselor that can help you out a little bit. A relationship with your clients, okay? And you're quite right, Nicole. It's very, very much people-centered. So if you're a people person, and this is a lot of the personality types that I deal with, who are wanting to use referrals to grow their businesses, it absolutely suits who they are. In comparison to a lot of other types of marketing, it's also relatively inexpensive. All right, you guys would have paid minimum, you know, a couple of $1,000, I reckon, for a website. You may have had some SEO involved in that. You may have had a copywriter. You may have had a graphic designer. All of these things rack up. Now, you absolutely need them. But in terms of comparing one type of marketing to another type, networking, it costs you on the shoe leather, getting to and fro, getting in and out of events, and it costs you in time. But they pale into insignificance next to a lot of the other expenses that you might have if you are trying to attract customers in other ways. All right. But my bottom line is, in terms of why it's such a wonderful thing to do, and we covered it right up front, but I'll just say it again. If you're on the receiving end of regular referrals, you're actually enjoying your business. You absolutely are. Okay. You know, there's a bunch of people out there that trust you and regard you as a high quality person who gives you great referrals, and you're dependable and you do an awesome job. All right. That's the sort of personal buzz that I get out of it, is being able to help people to get to that kind of level. All right. So the networking skills that we're going to be talking about here, these are the basics, and I will be getting to some of the more advanced ones probably in the last half hour or so. And because I want to open your eyes to some other possibilities that you can do beyond the basics. All right. The basics are important, and that's where we're going to start, but it's healthy just to be aware of some of the other things you can do in relation to using networking forums to attract business or referrals. All right.
Can I just jump in there? Jody's had her hand up.
Please, Jody. Sorry about that. I missed it. Thanks, Jamie.
Sorry, it's just I just want to ask people to mute their mics, because every time they take a sip of their drink, they move. It's really distracting, and it's cutting you in and out, and I'm finding it really hard to focus. Just for etiquette on these things, just make sure you really mute your mic every time you finish.
Love your work, Jody. You can be my roadie anytime. Thank you all very much. But equally, if you have a question, feel free just to stick your hand up, and I'll attempt to answer it at any stage during this. I'm not going to stand on ceremony. If you've got questions, just ask me. That's cool. All right. So can I now please get you all to put me on speaker view? All right. If you don't know how to do that, you go up to the top right-hand corner where it says view of your Zoom window. Click on the options there, and one of them is going to come up as speaker view. And the reason I request folks do that is because I use virtual backgrounds as training aids. I find them extraordinarily beneficial to be able to pass on information. So, all right, we are going to start with, have you all got me on speaker view? Now I'm going to guess you have. I see lots of nods. That's terrific. Okie dokie. I want to talk first about the nexus between referrals and networking. Okay, here it is. When you go networking, don't go there to sell anything. Go there to meet the people who are most likely to be able to pass you referrals. All right, something that happens far too often, and I'll cover a little bit more of this later, but something that happens far too often in most networking events is that, and I ask this question sometimes if I'm giving presentations, hands up, everybody who's here to sell something. And you usually get, 70 or 80% of the room stick their hand up. And then you ask the flip side of that, hands up everyone who's here to buy something. And I've just killed the room. No one is there to buy something. All right. So if you're there to sell something, you are completely wasting your time. Worse than that, chances are you're going to be offending people. All right. Now you want to be remembered for, because that's part of what's going to keep you top of mind in order to attract referrals, but you want to be remembered for the right things. You don't want to be remembered as being the person who's going around and who is just trying to sell. Now, I'm going to give you a fairly vivid picture of that person a little bit later on. We call them the ninja networkers because they fling their business cards out like they're ninja stars. And it's not a great thing for anybody to be doing in any type of networking event. All right. You will completely alienate yourself. All right. Here we go. I want to start right at the top. This is before you get to the event. Contact the event organizer. All right. If you take away nothing else from what I'm going to be talking about here today, take away that. Event organizers are connected. They know who turns up at their events. They've got a list of the people that have subscribed to the event or paid up or signed up or agreed to come or whatever it might be. There are so many good reasons for contacting the event organizer. Has anybody here ever contacted an event organizer prior to going to an event? John, good, I saw that, excellent. For the rest of you, you can save yourselves a heck of a lot of time by making a simple email or phone call, and you want to find out one thing. Are your potential referral partners going to be in the room? Remember, no one's there to buy anything, right? So you're not looking for customers when you go networking. You're looking for potential referral partners. Your event organizer will be very much aware of the types of businesses that are represented commonly at their events. Find out. You can save yourself a whole lot of heartache just with one simple phone call. All right. All right, and that's where it is. Yeah, the natural referral partners, and we'll come to a bit more of a description about that a little bit later on. All right, but you want to make sure that they are in the room. Otherwise, you are going to have a cold evening or day at this event, and you don't want to do that. All right, ask them how the event flows. All right, if your main purpose of going to the event is to meet other people, then you don't want to go to an event that is just presentation after presentation after presentation. And some of them are. If there is insufficient mingling time, you're not going to have time to meet the people that you want to meet. All right. So ask them how the event flows. If it suits you, terrific. If you're going there to learn because presenters are presenting, excellent. That's good. But if you're going there to mingle for the purposes of meeting referral partners, then you need time for that. All right. So ask them how their events flow. The cost. Now, this was mentioned a little bit earlier. Does the cost reflect your value proposition? If you are selling Ferraris, don't turn up at events that have a Hyundai price tag. You're mixing with the wrong people. Here's another thing, and it's kind of in relation to that, and it's about the venue. If you are selling Ferraris, does the venue line up with that? This will cost you more to get into these places, But if that's the sector of the market you're operating in, you need to be prepared to be able to pay that in order to be mingling with the people who can pass you referrals. All right. Does anybody want to take a screenshot of that? I'll step out of the way. You guys can take a screenshot, all right? All righty. I'm going to move along. Okay. Go with somebody else. Go with a colleague or two. All right. Can anybody think of any, other than the one I've got up there, you've always got someone to walk up to. Can anybody think of any other reasons to network with a colleague? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Luke.
They may bump into someone and start chatting to somebody that you really need, and then they can send you to that person. Would be one of my thoughts.
Yep, that is excellent. All right. And so it's a good idea, and I'll cover this a little bit more later as well. It's a good idea also then to have had a conversation with your colleague beforehand to find out who you do want to meet. All right. So they're all worded up on that. And they're going to know to look out for your best interests, and vice versa. You're going to also know to look out for theirs. All right. So this is just that picture there. Okay. That was one of my first ever networking events. And I went by myself. I was pretty green and wet behind the ears. And you can see what I did by the very fact that I took the picture. I ran away to a place at the top where I could take a picture of a room that I didn't want to be in. Okay, that's exactly what I did. And you know who else I met there? 3 or 4 other people doing exactly the same thing. Here's another little tip for nothing. All right. If you are there, all right, and you're feeling confident with who you are and what you're about, and you see other people who are not feeling that way, go talk to them. When somebody is vulnerable in their emotions at the time, like I was then, I just wanted another human being to connect with, right? You can strike up good conversation with people like that, and you can be somebody else's savior, and you never know who that person knows. All right. It's not only is it a nice thing to do, it's a giving thing to do, which is terrific. But you don't know who they know. It could lead to something. All right. And if any of you want to send me pictures of crowds that you guys have been too afraid to walk into, you can feel free to do that. So I reckon there was, I don't know, about 100, 150 or so people there, and I felt completely out of my depth. But having a colleague there with you will stop you feeling that way. All right. And that is a very, very common sensation that people have when they walk into these places. So I kind of mentioned this before, understand their business. So Luke, you were right on the money there, so that you can assist them when they are coming in, introduce them to others. And here's the other thing. If you find yourself getting cornered by someone and you think you're being pasted to the wall because they're trying to sell you their stuff, you can use your colleague as an excuse to get away. I'm just a little bit worried about Danny. I better go save him. I think he's having trouble over there with somebody. Okay, so having somebody else there can help you get away from that as well. All right, and
Steve, before you go on, there's a question from Nicole. Nicole wants to know, if I'm there by myself, what do I do?
If you're there by yourself, a good place to start.
Sorry, if you're a single person organization, how do you handle that?
Sure. A good place to start, Nicole, sorry, I didn't see the question come up. A good place to start, once again, is the event coordinator. They know everything. There is often a sign-in table before you're granted access to the crowd. All right. The event coordinator or some of the people working for them, it depends. That table is going to be staffed, and you can tell them this, all right? And if they're good at what they do, one of the staff will take you by the hand and lead you to somebody that you can have a good quality initial conversation with, just to break that ice. All right. If they don't, then one of the things you might want to think about doing is knowing your referral partners, the types of people you want to meet by their profession. Ask, is there an accountant in the room? Is there a bookkeeper? Is there a this? Is there a that? Okay. And then be direct. Would you be so kind as to make an introduction? All right. They want their event to work. They absolutely do, because it's people coming to their events and having a good time and meeting the right people and potentially getting some business because of those introductions. That keeps people coming back, right? That keeps people thinking that this event is one that's worth going to. And right now, there are a gazillion different types of networking events that folks can go to, okay? So ask those questions and try and find out if you can meet up with somebody that's of value and relevance to you, and vice versa. All right. Hope that helps, Nicole. Cool. All right, so the next one. Now, I understand from Rod and Jamie so far that you guys are already across your USP. Hands up if you feel confident with your USP, your unique selling / service proposition. All right, cool. There's a few hands going up. That's good. So and I can tell then also that you're aware of the concept. I want to so I don't want to go over what a USP is, because I think that's been covered. But what I do want to do is just add a little bit to it from a networking perspective. All right. I talk about a conversational USP. All right. When you go to a networking meeting like the one in the picture behind me there, first question you're going to be asked, Mary, what do you do? Right? That, rather than having it as a pitch, describe yourself in what you do. So use the USP that you've already developed and turn that into a conversational USP, but one that has a hook. The hook is to be designed so that it encourages a conversation. Does anybody remember how I introduced myself as I came on here today? Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Sweeney. I'm a specialist referral marketing trainer. So Rod and Jamie would have talked to you about the importance of being unique. I can't be the only referral trainer in the world. I'm not so bold as to say I'm the only referral trainer in the world. But if I put that word specialist in front of what I do, people immediately have more confidence in me. If I've got a heart problem, I don't want to go to a GP. I want to go to a heart specialist, right? If you've got a referral problem, you don't want to go to somebody who's all across sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is that big. I do this part of it, right? I niche down to this, and that gives people confidence in who you are. The law is this big, right? But lawyers concentrate on a certain area of it. It's a good idea to niche down. That will help you develop this idea of uniqueness about your business. All right. And then describe yourself. So a little bit of what I did, I talked about going to visit various companies around the world and organizations and helping people to attract referrals. Okay. And then I opened up, I continued with a question. Who here has had a good referral or something along those lines? Okay. Suddenly you're involved in a conversation with a stranger about a topic that you are the expert on. And you have not tried to sell them anything. You've given them confidence in who you are and what you're about. You've described the nature of your business, and you've opened up with something that is of general interest to mostly everybody in the room, especially if you're a B2B supplier. All right. And if it's somebody that's perhaps dealing with allied health or whatever, maybe you're a physiotherapist, I don't know. I help people with bad backs or something along those lines. Just about every second person I meet has a bad back. You probably know a few people. And suddenly you're in a conversation about bad backs. And it's low pressure stuff, right? And you're inviting somebody else to comment. Does everybody see the wisdom in this? Okay. You've all heard of the idea that you've got, 30 seconds or whatever it is to impress somebody. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. It depends upon the patient levels of the person that you're talking to. But you got to cut to the quick, right? And you got to cut to the quick in a low pressure method. Just get people talking, all right? And somebody else may have already done it to you, perhaps they were the first person to talk when you walked up. Engage them, all right? Think of the question or the comment or the whatever that's going to draw them out. All right, I'll come to something a little bit later about open questions and the value of them. But if your question is something along the lines of, do you enjoy what you do? Yes. Okay, but if your question is, what do you enjoy about what you do? You've opened a much longer comment up, right? So think about the value of open questions and a hook, all right? A hook that gets people talking. There's a lot of self-conscious people walking around rooms like that one there. You can help them out. You can make yourself an easy person to be around by using simple language patterns. All right, I'm going to move along. So knowing your USP, it is absolutely critical. Rod and Jamie have already talked to you about that, but getting your conversational USP right is very important as well. Okay, you're probably going to have to say it 6, 7, 8 times, whatever it is, whenever you go to one of these. All right, just have it prepared, and also take some mental notes. Okay, that one worked, that one didn't. I'm not going to talk about foot odor again. Whatever it might be, you'll know that there are some topics to be avoided, right? And some topics that make it work for you. All right. So try different things, especially early on, but you get the idea. All right. I want to talk a little bit now about a healthy networking mindset. I've kind of covered this one already, but it's extraordinarily important. If you're networking to sell, stay home. It is not going to work for you. You are doing yourself a disservice. All right. One of the best mindsets you can have is one of being helpful. Now, Luke was sort of onto this general concept before when he was talking about introducing people. Okay. There's a lot of that can go on, but you've got to be knowledgeable about who's in the room. So if, when you're having your conversation with your event organizer, you request a list of the professions that generally come, they won't give you the names, that would be inappropriate. But if you request a list of the professions that ordinarily come to to their events, and you're meeting somebody or talking with somebody who says, I want to meet an insurance broker or something or other, and you know that there's likely to be an insurance broker in the room, you don't know who they are, you can take this person you're talking to over to the event coordinator and say, look, I understand there's probably an insurance broker in the room. You can take it the next step, right? That helpfulness in that environment helps you guys be remembered for all the right reasons. That's a large part of where referrals come from. Being remembered for all the right reasons. All right, introducing others, we've covered that. Attend events to learn. So if there is some educational thing happening on, a presentation or whatever, or you're learning something from somebody, this is great. It's another positive mindset to have when you're walking into the room. Okay, and the point of doing this exercise is there's so many other things that you can be thinking about other than selling your stuff. All right. Desperation is not referable. Your business may not be in a great place, but if you are demonstrating desperation, and I talk to too many people who have this problem, and it's, I can usually get them around them by giving them some concrete steps about what to do, but desperation is absolutely not referable. All right. And it often ends up in being that ninja networker that I spoke about before. I'll talk more about that guy later. Okay, there he is now. We'll move on. This is a big one. Identify the givers. Later on, I'm going to go through a number of different things you can look for in humans, but I just wanted to broach it with you now. The reason being, one of the major complaints that I get is that people are giving, they're being helpful, they're introducing, they're attending to learn, they're making introductions, they're passing referrals, they're doing all those things, and nothing ever comes back. Has anybody ever felt like they're in that boat? Yeah. That doesn't feed you, right? You're business people, you got to put food on your table. Later on also, I'll be talking about how to identify the givers. Don't be giving to takers all the time, because it's going to leave you where you're probably feeling right now about being an excessive giver and nothing coming back. And that's not a good place to be, all right? Okay, let's put it all together a little bit. Part of the reason that you go to networking events is to, in fact, organize future one-to-ones with the people that are there. All right, and these largely are going to be your natural referral partners. Okay, that's why you're there. It's not to sell anything. You got to also decide who to follow up. One of the problems that people often encounter when they go to networking event after networking event after networking event, and they meet wonderful people along the way, collect the business cards, perhaps send them an email or something, or whatever it might be, and then nothing else happens. If all you do is shake a few hands, have some polite conversations, it's not going to go anywhere, guys. You got to get to a point where you are following people up to have a one-to-one, be it Zoom or in a cafe or somebody's office or whatever, to follow up to have a one-to-one meeting with them. And there are ways to organize that. One of the best ways to organize how to do the follow-up, or to encourage people to want to be followed up by you, is to, during the initial conversation that you're having with them, give them a reason that you will follow them up. You're talking a lot about house prices in Hampton. I'm sure I saw a report the other day on that. I'm going to send it to you. Right? I think I know somebody that might be interested in learning a little bit more about you, but we probably don't have time for me to work that out during this conversation. Let's get together for a one-to-one later and discuss it, and I'll then follow up that other person. Give them a reason to want to be with you. In the absence of a reason, if they don't think there's any value in you, their likelihood of availing themselves to that secondary meeting is low. All right. So, and if you're going to be promising value, you got to damn well deliver it. You absolutely have to deliver it. All right. But promise value you are capable of delivering, and people will see your name come up on the phone or the email come through or whatever, and they will respond as opposed to ghosting you. All right. So when you're meeting with people and having those initial conversations at a networking event, promise value that will get them to avail themselves of your efforts to follow up. All right. Make yourself attractive for it. That's almost the same thing there. Initiate the strategic relationship. So those are with your referral partners. Okay. So when you're meeting with somebody whom you believe is a potential referral partner, but you can't cover it all in a networking meeting, that's just too much, right? Look, I really think there's a chance here for some mutual benefit down the track for us. What do you say we get together a little bit later on after this and have a discussion about how we work and our clientele and whether or not we might be able to help each other? All right. That is really low salesy language. As opposed to, I think you can pass me referrals. Let's have a meeting and see how many you can give me, right? But if you go down that mutual benefit track, you are far more likely to get mutual benefit and to get that outcome you want, which is that organization of these other meetings. Help others. I think I've done that to death. Position yourself as a go-to in your field. All right. I've already done that today by calling myself a specialist. All right. Here's another way that you can do it. When you introduce yourself, yes, by all means, call yourself a specialist if that's what you want to do. But if you've gone to the event with somebody else, you can have worded them up prior about how you want to be introduced to people. This is Peter. Peter is an awesome blah, 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 blah. He's really good at blah, 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 blah. I often refer clients to him so that he can fix their blah, 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 blah. Peter's an ace. Peter, I'd like you to meet Mary. If you guys have pre-organized whatever it is your introduction pattern is, you can elevate people in the eyes of those whom you're introducing them to. And if people have confidence in your ability to do your gig, whatever that is, they're much more interested in having a conversation with you. As opposed to, here's Pete, he's a banker. Okay, you're going to leave folks hanging, right? You can give them a reason in the introduction to want to talk to you. Work that out with the people, with the colleagues that you're going to the event with, and you'll take yourselves to a whole other plane as far as quickly becoming regarded as the go-to in your field. All right, you've only got a small amount of time. And a simple language trick like that, only if it's true, but a simple language trick like that will get you there. It'll, instead of starting here, you're starting here with the relationship. Have fun. You get better at this stuff. All right, you absolutely get better at this stuff. If you're going into one of these networking meetings and you're thinking, oh, bloody hell, that Steve, he's filled my head with all this crap that he wants me to do and blah, blah, blah. Just pick 2 or 3 things, you know, make them regular in what you do. And then once they become regular, pick 2 or 3 more and just work on it. Don't be trying to do this this all at once, all right? Did anybody have any questions so far? Who's had a takeaway already? Geraint.
Brilliant. Yeah, I really like the word specialist. I use it a lot because my field is unique, and then I realize so is everyone else's. So I preferred to hear and say specialist as opposed to expert, because like you said, there's more of a conversation happening with other people, because people love to talk about what they specialize in. Whereas if I hear an expert, I tune out, because I want to have a conversation, not be spoken to. So I really love the way you're interacting, because there's a conversation, which, and for me, I'm immediately engaged. That's how I operate in business. So cool. I'm really taking it all in. So thank you. This is just how you're doing. You is brilliant.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind. And what you've done is you've highlighted the importance of language. All right. The difference between specialist and expert is that one describes what you're really good at. The other says, I'm really good at it. Right. I specialize in such and such. I'm an expert at such and such. You know, and so expert rates in sort of amongst boastful language. All right. Here's a little tip though. Okay. There's a place for boastful language, but not if you're applying it to yourself. If one of the colleagues that you've come in with uses Peter as an expert, That's cool.
Okay, yeah.
Right. Okay. Because then whoever's talking isn't boasting about themselves. They're boasting about another. Okay. So there's a place for both. And it's extraordinarily important. Language, I'll come to a little bit more about how it can be used later on as well. But thank you, Geraint. That's very kind. Sorry, Ron, I think I saw your hand go up before.
I'm the same. The specialist is a great word, I think. And it's not, like you said, it's not too boastful, and it's actually saying that you know what you're doing in your industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really important, as using that as a USP.
Excellent. Cool.
Because like for me, like I'm a finance broker, and there's lots of finance brokers. So to differentiate yourself is quite difficult in that space.
So you might be a finance broker that specializes in second or third home buyers, or investment properties, or first home buyers.
Yeah, so I do vehicle and equipment finance. That's my specialty. Okay, yep. That's what my speciality is. Yeah,
sure.
So.
Okay. And you might do it for corporations that have over 100 employees, and it might be within a certain locality. Okay, so there are other ways of niching yourself, and with every little step down the niching funnel that you take, people's confidence in you grows. Wow, Ron really knows his stuff, right? Peter, I think I saw your hand up, then we'll move on.
Yeah, I was just going to say the takeaway I got was focusing on the natural referral partners. Mm-hmm. I say that with a little bit of hesitation in the fact that you never know who knows somebody else. So you might think somebody's not a natural referral partner, but they might be only one step. They might have a relationship with somebody who is a natural referral partner. But certainly as far as, I guess, improving your return on investment, if you are able to find out from the event organizer or other people who's in the room and focus on those people that are natural referral partners, it's probably going to give you a better return on investment.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Is. No troubles at all. I'll just tell you a quick little story about, the strange types of relationships that can result in natural referral partners. Okay. I know a fella who runs a bedding company. All right. He owns a chain of bedding stores. They sell beds, bedding, bedroom paraphernalia, whatever it might be. Right. His best referral partner is the divorce lawyer. Think outside the box, right? I don't think I need to explain it. Ron gets it. All right. Just think.
That is very good.
It is, and it was true. All right. I know this gentleman. It's absolutely true. Okay. He's got people coming in. The divorce lawyer has people coming into him all day saying, my husband or my wife are cheating on me, or whatever it might be. There's no damn way I'm going to sleep in the same bed as him anymore. I've moved out, or her anymore. I've moved out, and now I need another bed. Right? Here's another little tip for nothing. It's not part of this, but it's very, very important for all of your marketing. Walk a mile in your client's shoes. Right? Feel their world. Experience their world. Be part of their world. Then you know the pain that you need to fix. Right? That's number 2. After contact the event organizer, that's number 2 in terms of importance here and what I'm delivering. Right? Walk a mile in your client's shoes. All right. I'll just extend that a little bit more just to demonstrate how important it is. A lot of marketing right now is white noise because, well, everybody has access to the internet, right? Effectively, that's the reason it's white noise. Everybody is bombarding the internet with "this is me, buy my stuff," okay? And they're doing it quite often to a generalist general section of the population, which means hardly anybody listens. That's the white noise. I can sell anything. I can sell my stuff to anybody, right? But as soon as I say, I can help insurance brokers grow their business, then every insurance broker in the room has got their ears pricked. Right? And then if you have walked a mile, in their shoes, you can then send out the messages that make the insurance brokers understand, wow, this dude really gets me. Right? But you got to get them listening first. And the way to do that is to cut through with your messaging by talking to the people you want to talk to and then demonstrating you get who they are. Anyway, I've digressed, but I hope that's of some interest to you. All right, so the path forward. So we're coming to the end of this first little package of things. This is a big problem. So one of the things I used to be, all right, is I used to be kind of senior in an organization called BNI. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. Okay, it's like every other organization in the world. It's a magnificent organization if it's right for you. If it's not right for you, well, you might not think it's so good, all right? One of the things that often happens in some networking groups is that they're all trained. All of the members are trained to be extraordinarily accommodating of the visitors. That's nice. Okay, it's nice, but they're doing it because they want somebody to apply. Right? That's why they're doing it. Don't join a group because you get a good feeling about how nice the people are in the room. That's not going to put money on your table. That's not going to feed you, right? Here's a question you can ask, and it will put most of these types of groups on notice that you know what you're looking for. Ask them the retention rate of the existing members. That's a big one. That might be number 3 in the hierarchy of things I'm telling you here today. All right, it's absolutely huge. The reason you want to know the retention rate is because it is a direct line to the satisfaction levels of the members that are there. If an organization has a retention rate of 80% or thereabouts, join it if your referral partners are in the room. Okay, but I can tell you from experience, most of them operate in the 50% margin. There are a few, all right, and this is why you got to ask the question. There are a few that are up there in the 80%, but there are too many that are 50 or below. I was talking to the owner of one of the major organizations, referral organizations, a couple of years ago, and he told me that his retention rate was 30%. That's a tragedy. Because what it means is that for every, roughly mathematically, for every 3 members who come up for renewal, only one of them is. The other 2 are walking out the door. I used to do a lot of exit interviews when I was in BNI, right? And on the day that somebody leaves, they'd say, oh, I love the group. They're wonderful. I love how everybody gets along. I'll keep referring to them, but I just got so busy. I can't possibly do this anymore. But then I would follow them up, 3 weeks, a month later, and ask similar questions. And that's when you get the truth. I just wasn't getting enough referrals. People will move heaven and earth. Business owners will move heaven and earth in order to stay in an organization that is passing them referrals, right? The average length of membership, certainly in BNI, is 18 months. If you want to have a conversation about joining different groups or what to look for, other things to look for, please hit me up. I'm happy to have a conversation with you guys about this. I'll put my contact details in chat a little bit later on. But absolutely ask that question. What's your retention rate? Okay, that will assist you no end to deciding if you should investigate any further. And you want to look for at least 70, preferably 80. It means the members are getting what they wanted. Business, right? Okay, where am I? Professional business cards. I don't know where all of you guys are on your business journey, but I'll tell you what I did when I first started out as a business owner a number of years ago. I was like so many other business owners. I didn't have a lot of money. I bought cheap business cards, flimsy, poorly printed, crap logo, all the stuff that embarrasses you, I had it on my business card, that thing that I hand out to give people that represents my business. That's what I had. Guess what I did? I kept them in my pocket. I said, oh, I've forgotten mine. I'm sorry. Here I am taking everybody else's and not giving mine out because I'm embarrassed about them. Invest in good quality business cards. If you're not handing out your business cards, you're going to struggle to get that follow-up. All right. There are also some electronic ways of passing business cards as well these days. Look into those if you want to save the trees. That's all cool, but you got to have something to pass on. All right. Try not to pass on a flyer. It's premature. If you're just meeting somebody for the first time, it's advertising your business. Be a little bit coy about that type of stuff. All right, but they absolutely are worth the expense. Startups, like I say, I don't know how many of you are startups. Some of you might be. It's okay to be a startup. One of my other businesses is copywriting. I don't do too much in it these days. It kind of ticks along by itself. But when I used to be heavily involved in it, startup companies would come to me and they'd say, Steve, I want you to make me look like I'm a big company. I struggled with that. I really struggled with that, all right? Because I'm falsifying their image. It's okay to be a startup. It's absolutely okay to be a startup. What you will find, especially if you're in a networking event, is that people love to share their wisdom. All right? They love to help you out. They'll take you under their wing and they'll walk you around and they'll say, hey, you got to meet so-and-so. All right? It's a good way. Use that stage of your business life for its advantages that it offers you, because it certainly does offer you some advantages. All right. Okay. Yeah. So ensure that you know who your natural referral partners are. There's a whole exercise about that. I don't have time to go through it today, but it's extraordinarily important. All right. Once again, if you want to hit me up afterwards, then we can have that conversation as well. Okay. But you got to know who they are. All right. And just like the mattress owner, the bedding owner, sometimes you don't know who they are. Right? It's not always in a nice, neat little box. It's worth stretching your imagination. And that's why walking a mile in your client's shoes is so important. Now, adopt an effective one-to-one process. So you guys, so it's not part of what we're doing here, but maybe some of you are pretty good at this anyway. I don't know. But when you're having your follow-up meeting, make sure you pass on the information that you promised, if that's how it was arranged, but also make sure you know those questions to ask that help people to open up to you, all right? Those open questions are wonderful at that. I've already mentioned certainly one of them before, what do you love about what you do? Something along those lines. That'll just get people talking, all right? And that's what you want. That's what you want at times like that. All right. Now get the heck out there and get networking. You've all got some basics now. All right, I've still got half an hour to go. I'm not going to dump you yet. But Rod's just looked at the clock. He's thinking, oh, Steve, mate, this is a bit too early. Anyway, but run through these notes. I will send you all, I stopped getting you to take screenshots. I will send you all the full slides, like the one behind me now, so that you can have those as your notes, okay? I'll give them to Rod or Jamie and they can disseminate them. But one of the best things you can do is just enjoy the process, and enjoy the fact that, okay, you're not very good at it, but you'll find helpful people who are. Because if that's how you approach it, people will flock to you and they'll help you out. All right. Okay. Would anybody like to share a couple of one of their takeaways so far? Anybody had an aha moment? Dale.
Am I off mute?
You are.
Yeah, good. Quite a few takeaways for sure. But the one about the colleague, I've had a friend who, who's a member of one of my groups, and she keeps saying to me, I want you to come to this network, a women's network, and we'll go together. And she said, I'll just introduce you. You don't have to be, suddenly telling people everything that you do or whatever. And I just noted it when you named about that going with someone. And then my takeaway was in that circumstance, which I'll now follow up, is to take some of the some of the really important levers and points that you just mentioned. I was just thinking too, as you were speaking, how that cliche that people really love to talk about themselves. And with my business, that's a big part of it, is about, tell me about you. I noticed one of the people today has a huge big tree behind them, and because part of my work is to get people back with nature, that would be a kind of segue. Tell me about, do you go out in nature? What's your relationship with nature? So it's a real takeaway from how to expand the conversation that's relevant to what I do. So
cool, excellent, no troubles. Thank you, Dale. Elisa, did I see your hand go up there? No, okay, cool. Anybody else? I'll take one more person with a takeaway. Oh, Jody up there. Yep.
Mine was a question. Can I ask a question? Okay. So I'm a weight loss specialist. So how will I find a networking group that, I guess, of people that suits me? Where do you start looking?
A weight loss specialist. So your natural referral partners are going to be other people who are in the, I'm going to guess, now please correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? But the health and wellness space.
Yeah.
Okay. An excess of weight will cause all sorts of personal issues that may also need to be addressed by physiotherapists, perhaps by chiropractors, perhaps by psychologists even, okay? So when you are, so they could be, I don't know your business too well, so I'm kind of, stretching myself here a little bit, but they could be some of your natural referral partners, people who deal with others who are overweight, okay? And who then, and those overweight people are suffering from unfortunate issues as a result, okay? So did I say psychologists and therapists, those sorts of people, okay? Perhaps even marriage guidance counselors. That might be part of it, all right? What you can do is contact the event organizer and ask them, are these types of people coming to your events?
Yeah.
And if they're not, I would personally think twice about going. All right, but you'll need to go through the exercise of working out exactly who your natural referral partners are. Like I say, I don't have time to do it today, so if you want to have a conversation later, Jody, then by all means.
I find sometimes they'll want to keep the client and not refer them on, and want to try and help them themselves. Yeah.
So you can't affect how other people are going to work their business. All right. Yeah. But I would equally suggest that, for example, physiotherapists, generally speaking, are not weight loss specialists. They might offer advice about, you need to lose weight because that will put less pressure on, various body parts. But in terms of the specialist advice that you're capable of giving, you might want to.
They would.
Yeah.
You think they would? The other thing is doctors would be great referrals. Do you know that if doctors actually do networking?
It is very rare that I have seen doctors networking. I wouldn't like to say I've never seen them, but it is very rare. I've certainly seen dentists networking, but not many doctors, no. You might want to look around for some Facebook groups, Jody. That might be an idea. And it may not be just Facebook. Maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's Insta, whatever. But some of those groups are often focused on a certain target market, okay? So check that out too.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Steve, just following on from that, there's a lot of places to go to network, whether it be local chambers of commerce, local councils, or even industry associations. But there's also business networking groups, as you said, BNI, Fresh, and BRG are a few. With those business networking groups, are there industries that are more aligned to those business networking groups, such as BNI, than others?
There certainly are. BNI in particular has a habit of attracting a certain type of business owner. It's a very big question, Jamie, and perhaps it's very big because my knowledge about BNI is too deep. But generally speaking, BNI, the idea behind BNI, it is absolutely wonderful, but the execution of it doesn't work as frequently as it should. Okay, in terms of delivering value to the members. So if you're thinking more, Jamie, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, about are you talking about how people can identify where they should be? What
just as an example, if let's say we have a hypnotherapist and then we have an electrician, right? From a BNI perspective or any of those business networking groups, would both be suited to that environment?
Yes, but they need to look. So one of the other things beyond retention rate is they need to look at the other professions in the room. If your referral partners are not in the room, then what the organization is going to do is to encourage you to go out there and bring them into the room. Is that how you want to be spending your time? Or do you just want to be going out there and meeting those other people? All right, so certain types of people do extraordinarily well in BNI. Okay, they absolutely do, but it's about, there's so many moving parts. Okay, that make a good BNI chapter or Fresh Hub or BRG group, whatever it is. All right, they're all fairly similar. There are so many moving parts that make these different entities work. I wrote an article about 10 things you could look for that indicate 10 symptoms of a networking group you should avoid joining. All right, if you want to look me up on LinkedIn and have a look at an article that I've written, check that out. Okay, there's 10 separate things. But yes, in answer to your question, for those specific specialists that you mentioned before there, Jamie, they will work if the right people are in the room, and there's a number of other things that are working around that group as well. All right. It's hard to be too definitive about it because of the number of moving parts. When I wrote that article, I thought I'll just limit it to 10, but I could have gone to 30 without thinking too hard. All right. I'll start moving on now, guys, because I have promised you some more information about several things, and I want to make sure I give it to you. All right. Okay. Meet with your referral partners. Okay, so I might skip over that. I think you understand how important it is, but sometimes people like to form, I'll go over this side, referral teams, all right? So referral teams are groups of business owners that are highly trained. So these are part of my business, all right? Groups of business owners that are highly trained in the art and science of exchanging referrals with others in their team, all right? So if you are part of one of these referral teams and you go as a group networking, one of the things that you might be looking out for is other people to have on your team. All right. Obviously, the more people on your team, then the more potential there is to be generating referrals for each other. It's just a concept that I kind of want to plant the seed of for now. If anybody wants to follow me up a little bit later about referral teams and how they work, then please do. I'll be happy to have a discussion with you about that as well. I mentioned about giving to the givers. All right. It is a real pain point for a great many people that they give and they give and they give and they give and they get nothing back. If that's you, I want you to have a look at this list that I'm about to put up here, okay? Number one, there's no point helping anybody but the givers. Too many people just help everybody. That used to be me. I just got tired of it, frankly. I just got tired of it when nothing comes back. Givers are people that make introductions. They are offering assistance. They have a caring tone in their voice. They actually give a damn about human beings. All right. They use active listening skills. I'm going to cover that in some depth soon as well. But they absolutely use active listening skills. Guys, if you're talking to someone and they're doing this, they can't wait for you to shut up. Okay. You know why? Well, too often the reason that they want that to happen is because they want to talk. They want it to be about them. All right. That happens too often. So I'll show you some of the active listening skills that can help you determine who the givers are in just a minute. But givers certainly do use them. They exude positivity. These people have boundless enthusiasm for what they do and for their desire to help other people. Because they give a damn, they ask the questions that very few other people ask. Because they care. They're thinking about it. So if you're talking to someone and you're thinking, wow, I've never been asked that before, hardly anybody ever gets down there, that person is interested in you. That's a really good sign when you're talking to somebody like that, all right? They pass referrals, okay? If you know people that are passing referrals and offering assistance and making introductions and exuding positivity, they're givers. They are the types of people that you absolutely want to be helping, because your chances of getting a return on your networking investment from those people is significantly higher. And it will reduce, I won't say stop, but it will reduce the likelihood that you'll be this endless giver who's getting frustrated. Arrive early, leave late. To a certain degree, it's a numbers game. Networking. So the more time you spend on the field networking, the greater the chances are that you're going to get that return on the investment that you want. All right. Here we go with the active listening skills. All right. Ever spoken to someone who's doing this? The head's tilting. Furrowed brow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That person's in the zone. That person is taking in everything that you're saying. So let's flip this around. If you're doing that, as opposed to looking at your watch or looking over the speaker's shoulders to something more interesting over there, if you're giving somebody 100% of your attention, they think you're a good person. They think what they say matters. They think you're taking it in. You'll be remembered for the right reasons. Here's another one. So one of the things I do once every, I don't know, 3 or 4 months or whatever it is, I'm called in, with a group of other people. We work in a team and we train doctors in what we sort of call, the art of communication skills. Okay, many doctors, great at patching up bodies, fixing diseases, blah blah blah. Not so good sometimes at winning the trust of their patients. We train them in the communication techniques that have been proven, and I'm going to stress that, proven to quickly win people's confidence, quickly win their trust. Doctors are scientists. They don't do anything unless it's been, whatever it is, has been through double-blind tests, been peer-reviewed, and has come out the other end nice and bright and shiny so that they know it works. These communication techniques work. I've trained, you've heard the expression, so-and-so wrote the book on it. I've trained in these under the dude that wrote the book on it. He is an absolute master communicator. I wish I was 10% of what he was. He's amazing to work with. I've learned so much from him. His name is Joel Silverman, if you want to look him up. Anyway, he's wonderful at what he does. And this is paraphrasing, okay? It's one of the critical things that makes a patient feel like they've been heard and understood. So when the doctor, when the patient says, blah, 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 I've got leukemia, I'm having trouble with XYZ or whatever it is, all right? And then the doctor rephrases that and gives it back, and they've noted all of the XYZ that the patient said, the patient's confidence in the doctor absolutely soars. And the reason this is important is because It's also been proven in other studies that patients who trust their doctors have better health outcomes. They'll take the medicine, they'll do the exercise, they'll change their diet because they trust their doctor. These communication skills, you can just unplug from the medical world and plug them in to the business world, because guess what, folks? We've all got to win trust very quickly as well. If you want to have another conversation about that at some point, let me know. Summarizing, it's another one, right? It's another great communication tool. If at the end of every meeting that you have with somebody, when you're out there networking, you're taking these little dot points in your head, and okay, so the next step for our relationship is, Karu, we are going to be meeting at such and such a time at such and such a place. You've already told me XYZ about your business. Thank you for that. I feel like I know your business much better now. And I'm going to make sure that I've got that piece of information that I said I would supply to you when we meet. If you were doing that to every single person that you had a meaningful business conversation with, their confidence in you does that. It also helps you remember it because you verbalized it yourself, and then quickly go away and write it down on the back of a business card or a napkin or something or other so that you actually remember what to do. All right. But summarizing, it's another really simple communication skill, and it requires that active listening. Okay. You've got to be in the zone. You've got to be taking it in, but then you can regurgitate it. It's a great thing to be able to do. Open questions, I've talked about those already. You want to kill a conversation? Ask 3 closed questions in a row. Suddenly, folks are looking for the door. All right? Keep your questions open. Ride their wave. This one is so important as well, okay? A lot of times when you're having a conversation with somebody, there's going to be some emotions on display, right? They're going to go up. When they've hit a high, they're going to go down when they're saying things aren't going right. And if you're going up and down with them because you actually give a damn, don't falsify it. Everyone can spot a fake. But because you actually give a damn, suddenly you're creating what is possibly one of the most valuable connections of all, an emotional connection. When people are emotionally connected to other people, they go out of their way to be of assistance to them. Don't underestimate the power of an emotional connection. It is huge. Now, here's another one. I say this a lot in all sorts of trainings that I do. Marketing. Every type of marketing is about this. It's about winning hearts and minds. These techniques that I'm teaching you here today are all focused on winning hearts and minds. They're going to take your business to the next level in relation to not only attracting referrals, but any type of marketing that you are plugging into your business. If you think of it in terms of, okay, does this part win the heart or does this part win the mind? You're going to help your messages cut through. As opposed to the blah, 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 blah messages that aren't aimed at either one, but you just need content to fill the space. That's white noise. All right. Okay, where are we now? Okay, the ninja networker. Said I'd come back to this person. They're the dude. They're usually men, dudes out there. We're the guilty parties. All right. I don't think I've ever seen a woman do it. Not that they're incapable. I've just never seen it. I've certainly seen far too many men do it. They're shooting business cards at folks. They don't invest time in conversations. They're always in a hurry. They are that person who I was creating before, waiting for you to shut up so that they can have their turn. Don't invest too much time in these people. You won't, because you'll spot it and you won't like them. They sell first and they ask questions later. Okay, and that's if they ask questions at all. All right, they never offer to help other people. They talk far too much and they look bored when others are talking. All right, you don't want to be that person. I want to open your eyes to another thing that you can do when you go to a networking event. I mentioned right at the top that there's often a flow to these networking events, and one of the regular inclusions is giving a presentation. All right. Presentations are wonderful for efficiently communicating on a one-to-many basis. I want to show you the person I was about 10 years ago when I first gave a presentation at a BNI meeting. This was me. And I read the whole damn thing, right? And I lost everybody in a heartbeat. I made no eye contact. There was no emotional connection. I stumbled over my words because I didn't prepare them properly. One of the things that's got me from there, and I'm not perfect at presenting, but I've certainly grown a lot in terms of my abilities, all right? One of the things that's got me there is practice. When I was this relatively senior person in BNI, 3 or 4 times a week, every week for 5 years, I was on my feet in front of a group of people giving a presentation of some description. It got me over this. Here's the first rule about giving good quality presentations. Practice. It may not make you perfect, but it's going to make you a heck of a lot better than you probably already are. All right. I leapt on every opportunity that I could get. And now it's a cornerstone of my business. It doesn't have to be that way with you guys. I'm not telling you what to do with your own businesses. But if you want to use presentations as a method of attracting business from a crowd at a networking event, I can tell you it is absolutely 100% possible to do that. And you're doing it in a very efficient and very effective manner. Because all of those questions, all of those human connection type things and soft skills that I was displaying before, or we were talking about before, those were all then one-to-one. You can do exactly the same thing, one-to-many. And create that desire in people to then be followed up or to follow you up in a few days, whatever it might be. All right? It's a very effective way to win business. It's not for everybody. I stress it's not for everybody. And don't be thinking I'm an introvert, I can't do it. I was an introvert. In fact, 80% of me still is an introvert. All right. Most people have parts of them that are introverted and parts of them that are extroverted. That's kind of normal. It's very possible to get out of your comfort zones and take your presentations to another level. There's something you need to, or a number of things you need to understand about doing it for the purposes of winning business from a crowd. There's a presentation funnel. Okay, it's different for, and the structure is the same, but the little bits and pieces within it are different for every business. Okay, if you're wanting once again to have a conversation with me about that, then by all means do so. It is a very effective way of attracting business when you know what you're doing. Here's one of the big enemies of presenters who are wanting to attract business. When they've finished a presentation, the people that know them come up to them and say, "Great presentation, Steve. Steve, you were awesome. You were wonderful, Steve. Great presentation." But Steve didn't get anything out of it. Steve didn't get a single client out of it. How good a presentation was it really? If the purpose of the presentation is to attract business from a crowd, how good a presentation was it? I'll say that again. One of the biggest enemies of giving good quality presentations for the purposes of attracting business from a crowd is the people that told you you did a good job when nothing came from what you did, because that just inspires you to keep doing what you're doing. And the types of people that really struggle to get business from a crowd are givers. Now, here I've been saying wonderful things about givers, but here's what happens when you're giving a presentation and you want to attract business. You're giving and you're giving and you're giving and you're giving, and you're giving them no reason to call you. Give her a struggle with this. All right, because you got to flip it on its head. Not totally. You still have to give, because if you're not giving, then you're going to lose the audience. But it's not giving to the same degree. All right, and there's a structure for that. Let me know if you want any more information about that, but I'll just quickly go through some of this. Exposure, it's a very, very effective. So if you're wanting to give presentations, all right, and you are contacting your event coordinators, one of the first questions you got to ask is, so, you know, roughly how many bums on seats do you get? Because if you've got a choice of giving a presentation to 10 people or 100, it's a no-brainer, right? So ask that question of the event organizer. Attracting business, I think I probably covered that. I can tell you, so I was doing this, I was giving the training to a lady in South Africa the other day, and she wrote me one of the best testimonials I've ever had. If you're on my LinkedIn profile, you'll see it there. I forget exactly what she said, but not many people can change the trajectory of somebody's business within the space of a couple of hours. Steve, that's what you did. She's now going to go and just give presentations and presentations and presentations as a result of that you know, very short packet of time. Like I say, if you're interested, let me know. So following up, I think I've probably covered that one, but I did want to mention this one. I think it is. You've got to know why you're following folks up, who to follow up, when to follow up, and how to follow up, right? And the answers to each of those are very simple. You follow up the people you said you would, and you do it in the manner that you said you'd do it, okay? So you are telling people during the initial conversation how or when or what for you're going to follow them up. And it's got to be something tantalizing for them. You got to be thinking on your feet when you're having these conversations. Man, I really want to follow this dude up, whoever it is you're talking to. Why does he want to have me in his ear again? Right? You got to be thinking that, or maybe you already know it before you walk in the room. That's cool. If you've done your homework, you've had time to prepare. But if you're, yeah, that's the reason people will say yes to a follow-up. There's something in it for them. I'm going to wrap it up soon. Does anybody have any questions? All righty. Oh, here we go. Ron? Yep.
Steve, I've just got a quick question about a quick strategy in relation to trade shows.
Sure.
So I go to, say, for instance, I do a bit of stuff in the winery industry with winery suppliers. And recently they had their exhibition in Adelaide, and I got a bit stage struck, I must admit. Back with that, I'm a bit scared to go in there. When people are actually there selling their products, have you got like a quick comment about a strategy of someone like me actually going to talk to them at that trade show?
So I'm going to paint a picture, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? So you got wine suppliers at a trade show. You're there as a visitor?
Yeah, so I go as a visitor. So me having a relationship with them, I can help, obviously, their clients who are buying their equipment, right, to help their clients get finance so they can sell their equipment.
Gotcha.
That's the referral partner. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So where they are at that point is not where their headspace needs to be for you to have a meaningful conversation with them. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, correct. Yes.
Okay, cool. So going to them and look, I think there's a mutually beneficial outcome for the two of us working together. Now isn't the right time, but I think it would be wonderful for the two of us to have a conversation, maybe in a couple of days' time after you've got yourself reorganized, you know, you're back on the home soil or whatever it is, back at the winery. But I think there's a real possibility for some mutual benefit here. All right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is that cool?
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. It's non-salesy. It's low pressure. It recognizes that they're not in that space where you need them to be. And so you're not going to be, you know, that buzzing mosquito that's an irritation, right? Cool. Anybody else have another question before I wrap this up? Sajiwa.
Yep, I have a quick question. How do you incentivize your networking peers, especially who are referring your brand or your customers to you?
So the audio was a bit low there, Sajiwa, but I think you said, how do you incentivize your referral partners to pass you referrals? Was that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, cool. All right. Look, there's two main ways. All right. One is in kind, taking into account what a referral partner is. It's somebody who you are exchanging referrals with. Okay. So yes, we got to work out how we can work together so that we can exchange referrals both ways. Okay. That will quite often incentivize people. There's another way, and you can do it monetarily, sorting out some sort of affiliate scheme or something along those lines. All right. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business, Sajiwa, but here's one of the things that can happen. If you are saying to somebody, I will give you 20% of the value of any money that I make via a referral you send me, then that person is for sale. And if somebody else comes along and offers them 21%, you've lost them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. But that said, if you can find somebody and you're happy to do it via the either the exchanging in kind or the exchanging of money for referrals, absolutely go for it. You know, folks want to make money. I know a business owner, in fact, who his business is affiliate marketing. Right? All he does is represent everybody else's business and makes money doing so. It's a real thing. It's not dirty, but you got to open your eyes to the pluses and the minuses of it. That's all.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
No worries. Guys, I'm going to wrap this up now, and it's with a final piece of advice. There's my contact details there. It's with a final piece of advice, and here it is. It's the best advice I think I can give you. I've given you guys a whole lot of tips and tricks today, but most of them are in relation to getting you to practice a skill. Okay, and here's what happens when adults are practicing skills. They get scared. All right, they absolutely get scared. I've just put my contact details in chat for anybody that wants to come back to me. Here's the deal, folks. This is the business owner you are right now. And this is the business owner you want to be. And in the middle, there's a whole bunch of awkward. When adults start practicing new skills, they get extraordinarily self-conscious. They think other people are thinking, oh, Geraint should already know this. Why doesn't Kairu know how to do that? Oh my God, Luke, you're really messing this up. All right. People think that's what other people are thinking about them. And too often it makes them stay over here being the business owner they currently are. If you want to turn into this business owner that you'd rather be, and you need to exercise or develop some new skills because of it, you got to practice those skills. You got to go through awkward. Somewhere along the line, from being kids where we have no inhibitions whatsoever about standing up and falling over when we're first learning to walk, we develop this fear of being judged. If you want to take your business to the next level, and you want to do it not only by networking, but by any other means, it is absolutely essential that you guys are willing to go through awkward. You're gonna feel awkward when you're trying to use some of those communication techniques, when you're trying to give a presentation, when you're trying to have meaningful conversations with people using some of the expressions that I've given you here today. It's gonna feel stupid. But you got to move past that. You got to get to this person. It takes some bravery. It takes some determination. But if that's the person you want to be, if that's the person that's going to earn the amount of money that you want to earn, that's what you have to do. Thanks for listening, folks.